All right, today we have a care guide for the rhaphidophora tetrasperma, also known as the mini monstera, mini Ginny. I've heard them called a lot of different things, but they're actually not monsteras at all. They are rhaphidophora, which is a little bit different than monsteras, but I get it. They do sort of look like the cartoon version if you had to imagine something for a little bit of or a little monstera. But anyway, let's get into the care instructions for these guys. They are actually very similar care to monstera, so that really helps as far as the confusion goes. But these guys will need very bright light to do well, okay? So if you don't know what I mean by bright light, make sure you're checking out my lighting video right here on Tanner the Planter or Facebook, YouTube channel, wherever you're watching. So bright light is the key, very first, okay? Second of all is watering, all right? So they aren't terribly picky about water, but of course, always the more pure water you can get, the better. Distilled, reverse osmosis, rainwater, that's fantastic. But I've always watered mine with tap water and it does perfectly fine. And I know for a lot of you, they're pretty hardy for that as well. So right now, during the growing season, during the spring and the summer months, I let them dry out just right above the pot, okay? You can do it about 25%, 20 to 25%. What I do is I just stick my finger down in the soil. Let's say this is 25%. I stick my finger down in the soil. If it's dry 25% down, I give it a really thorough soak. During the fall and the winter months, they are not growing. They're in their dormancy period, okay? So you can let it dry out about 50% in between really thorough soakings. Make sure when you are watering, you are really saturating the entire root system, right? So that's I always preach thorough watering whenever we do water. Next, we'll talk about fertilizing. These do really well with slow release fertilizers or just regular water soluble fertilizers during the spring and summer months when they're actively growing. Something general purpose, they aren't very picky about their fertilizer, but just make sure it's something well balanced and a general purpose kind of a deal, and use as directed on the packaging. If you're going to repot this plant, you just make sure you go up one pot size at a time. I always wait for the roots to start coming out the bottom before I do a repot. But the soil recipe you're gonna want to use is 1 part houseplant mix, a container mix, something that retains quite a bit of moisture, and then you're gonna mix that in with another part of something that's gonna drain really well. So like cactus soil, pumice stone, perlite, sand, something like that to make it drain pretty freely. They want to hold on to quite a bit of moisture, but they don't want to be sitting wet all the time, okay? So 1 part water retentive, 1 part sharp draining, all right? Mix those together, and that's a great combination for the rhaphidophora tetrasperma. If you want to propagate this thing, it can be taken by node cuttings. That's my most successful way of propagating these guys. So that's kind of the thing for them. One thing to keep in mind that is a little bit special about this plant in particular, when it's moved, like from if you got it in the mail or if it's been on a journey, as it's acclimated, it takes a little bit longer than average to acclimate to a new environment. Or if you're taking cuttings, it takes a little bit longer for them to root they're slower to root than other plants, but once they do root, once they do acclimate to their area, they take off really, really fast, okay? So if you just got your rhaphidophora and it's not growing, just be patient, make sure it's in the right light, make sure you're giving it the right care, and be patient because they'll look like they're doing nothing and all of a sudden they will just explode with growth. But that's going to do it for the care instructions for the rhaphidophora tetrasperma. If you have any questions about this plant, let me know in the comment section below, or of course you can always message me on Tanner the Planter via Facebook or Instagram.